$1 million. That's enough money for most people to pay off your house, pay off your car, and finally have some peace when it comes to your money. And unfortunately, most of the content on the internet about getting your first million is more about getting you to buy somebody's program than to actually help you get that $1 million. But not anymore, because in this video, I'm gonna give you a 10-step game plan on what you can do to achieve your first $1 million. No, it's not gonna be easy. No, it's not gonna happen fast. And no, it's not going to happen without sacrifice, but it will work for those of you that put in the work. So let's jump right in. Step number 1 is stop the financial bleeding. That means save $2,000 as fast as possible and then pay off your credit card debt. You have to start by saving a little bit of money because the majority of America does not have $1,000 saved up to protect them against an emergency, and 3/4 of Americans do not have $2,000 saved up. That means anytime something bad happens, you get pulled over for speeding, your kid gets sick, something happens to your car, you now have to go into credit card debt to fix that problem. So you try to take a step forward and then you take 3 steps backwards. So to stop that, you have to save $2,000 as fast as possible. This is not all the money you're going to save. This is just the start. And then you need to pay off your credit card debt. And the reason why is because when you have credit card debt, it is like trying to climb a mountain with 2,000 pounds of chain strapped to your legs. You're trying to go upwards and build your wealth, but you're being pulled back every step you take. Let me show you the power of this. Let's assume that I give you $8,400 today, and this is the only money you ever invest. You invest this $8,400 into the markets today, and you never invest another penny again for the rest of your life. And let's assume that you are a good investor. You can average a 25% return a year on your investments, and you invest your money for 40 years. But remember, you're never investing another penny. You only invest the $8,400. Well, after those 40 years, your $8,400 is going to grow not to $1 million, not to $5 million, not to $10 million, not to $50 million, but to $60 million, which is a lot more than the $1 million goal that we set here. And you're going to say, well, Jaspreet, well, how do I get the $8,400? And number 2, where am I supposed to get these 25% returns? Well, you'll see how you can find this $8,400, but do you know who's getting these 25% returns year after year after year after year? Amex, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, because this is the average APR that these credit card companies are charging you. This is why you need to pay off your credit card debt as fast as possible. I call this the financial danger zone. If you don't have at least $2,000 saved up, if you don't have any credit card debt, you should not be going out to eat at restaurants, you should not be going on vacation, and you should not have a Netflix subscription. Now, I didn't say that this was going to be easy, but this does work. And the reason why I say you should not have a Netflix subscription isn't so you save $15 a month. It's because the average American is watching more than 2 hours of TV a day. In fact, it's closer to 3 hours of TV a day. That's time that you could be using to earn more money. It's time that you could be using to learn about how to make more money. It's time you could be using and learning how you can build a new career. It's time that you can be using to build yourself instead of just sitting there letting your brain cells die in front of the stupid box called the TV. So, if you are in the financial danger zone, you gotta make some serious sacrifices, because until you get past this, you can never build any real wealth, and you're just making everybody else rich, because guess who's getting this interest? It's the credit card companies, which is why they get to fly in private jets, and it's why you are struggling paying your bills. So if you wanna fix that, you gotta get serious about this problem. Step number 2 is create a system for your money. Now that you're out of the financial danger zone, you can actually use your income, whether it's from your job or your business, to make you wealthy instead of just making everybody else rich. But here's the mistake that so many people make. You go to work, you go to your business, and you get paid, and then you go and you spend money, and then you wonder where all your money went. And if there's any money left over, you will save and invest some of that. But what every wealthy person does is they save and invest their money first, and then they spend whatever's left. See the difference? It's creating a system so you have money to save and invest, and then you spend based off of what's left instead of saving and investing what's first. And this is where you need to create a system for your money. And a very simple rule of thumb that you can follow is something like 75, 15, 10, which says for every dollar that you earn from here on out, 75 cents is the maximum that you are allowed to spend. 15 cents is the minimum that you are going to invest, and 10 cents are the minimum that you're going to save. This way, whether you're making 10 grand a year or $10 million a year, you're always putting your money aside to save and invest before you spend all of your money. But here's how you actually make this work. Because what many people will try to do is they'll say, all right, I make $100, I put the $100 in my checking account, and you go to the store and you see this nice little sweater on sale and it's $92 plus tax is $99, but you have $100 in your bank account. And now you forget how much money you're supposed to save and invest, so you now go out and spend all 99 of those dollars on the sweater, even though money was supposed to be put aside for your saving and investment. So here's what you need to do. You need to open up 3 different bank accounts. Most banks will allow you to do this for free. If your bank charges you money to do this, get a new bank. And now what's going to happen is when your money gets deposited into your checking account, your bank account, this is your spendings money. But then you want to have an automatic withdrawal that's going to put money into this bank account holding your investment money. And then you can have an automatic withdrawal putting this money into your savings money. This way now there's a shield. That shield is a different bank account. That way you don't accidentally spend your investment money on a sweater. You don't accidentally spend your savings money on a TV. This is savings there to protect you against an emergency. This is how you become wealthy, your investment money, and this is what you live off of. When you have a system like this, now you actually have a plan to become wealthy, because the reality is you don't become wealthy by having a whole bunch of nice stuff. You might look like you're rich because you have a BMW, you have a Rolex, you have all these fancy things, but that's really just making everybody else rich, and it keeps you poor. Your savings are not going to make you rich, because your savings are going to lose value to inflation, and this isn't your parents' and grandparents' generation where you can just save your way to wealth. It doesn't work like that. Your investments are what is going to make you wealthy. So you want to be aggressive here. You want to invest more than you're saving. And we'll talk more about how do you actually invest your money, but this is where your wealth is going to be made. Now, I do want to let you know, for those of you that are investors or want to become investors, I have a free investing masterclass that I just put together where I walk you through how you can start investing your money and find investment opportunities before the crowd. I'll show you the research and systems that my firm uses to find investment opportunities. It's a completely free masterclass. So if you're interested in investing, or you are an investor and you want to find better investment opportunities, I invite you to watch this masterclass for free. All you have to do is register. I have the link for you down in the description below. And when you join the masterclass, you'll also get signed up for Market Briefs, which is my free newsletter for investors. Once you get out of the danger zone and create a system for your money, now it's time for number 3, time to cut the crap. If you do the math, becoming a millionaire really isn't that difficult, because if you invested, we'll call it $100 a month. This is less than $4 a day, and you just invested your money into the markets, which has averaged 10% a year. So you put your money into the markets, you get a 10% average return. You're not trying to beat the market, you're just throwing your money into the stock market, and you do this for 45 years, well, you're going to retire with about $1 million. Now you're gonna say, well, Jaspreet, I don't wanna have to wait 45 years to have $1 million. And in 45 years, $1 million is not gonna have the same buying power as today. Sure. But look at what I showed you. We're talking about $100 a month. If you can invest some more money, well, you're gonna have more wealth. What if you can invest $200 a month? What about $1,000 a month? What if you could get slightly better returns? If you could do a little bit better than 10% a year, well, now you could have a lot more wealth. And let's talk about how you can find that extra money, because the part that a lot of people don't realize is they're throwing a lot of money away when they should be keeping that money to make themselves rich first. This is what a lot of people on the internet will tell you gotta stop going to Starbucks and spending $5 on coffee, which sure, that's money that you could be putting towards your investments, but I like to start with the bigger numbers because that's easier to find more money first. Now, if I haven't made this clear, I don't make these videos to make friends. I make these videos to help you be better with money, so if you don't like before I'm about to say, I'm sorry. But one of the biggest places where you can find some extra money is the biggest purchase that you make, which is your house. And the reality is, this is from somebody who used to work as a real estate agent. Your house is sold to you as an investment, when in reality, you should treat your house like a liability and an expense, because houses don't always go up in value. Yes, over the long term, they do generally, but they don't always go straight up. We all remember the 2008 housing market crash. Well, if you buy a house thinking it's going to be an investment, the mistake you make is now you're probably going to overpay and you're not going to have actual money to invest. What every good realtor and what every good mortgage banker is going to do is they're going to help you find your dream house. Now, what is your dream house? Well, your dream house is something where you can build a family and hopefully be the best and biggest investment of your life. And the interesting thing about that is they're paid on commission, which means the bigger the house you buy, the bigger their commission check is. Now, most of the times your realtors and bankers are probably not going to just send you to a house that you can't afford, but you got to understand their motivation as well, because the bigger house you buy, the more money they make, and the bigger house you buy, the more your payments are going to be. And if your house is not an investment, maybe you shouldn't be buying so big. And this is where I'm not saying don't buy a house, I'm saying don't buy a house you can't afford. Don't buy a house when you can't afford it. When you treat your house like a liability, like an expense, now you're going to look at that purchase very differently, because so many people go into home ownership thinking that I'm going to buy this house and I'm going to build generational wealth. I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to pay it off, and now I have an asset that I can pay down. But this is one of the biggest lies sold in this economy, because the reality is when you buy a house, let's say you buy this house for $500,000. The first thing you're going to say is, what happens if my house goes up in value? Now I can pass it down. Well, if your house were to go up in value to, let's call it $1 million, you might say that's a great thing to happen. And it is, because now you're sitting on this asset that's worth a whole lot more money, but it's not actual money in your pocket, because it's just invisible money. It's equity. Equity isn't actual money. It's just what people think that this house is worth. The only way that you can get this money out is either if you sell the house or if you refinance. If you sell the house, well, you have the money in your pocket, but now you need a new place to live. If you refinance, well, now you got the money in your pocket because you take out an $800,000 loan against your house, but now you have to pay that money back plus interest. Not to mention now that you have $1 million house, which means your property taxes are now a whole lot more expensive, because you originally purchased a $500,000 house and were paying property taxes on a $500,000 house. Now you're paying property taxes on $1 million house, which means you have more expenses. Now you also have more insurance, because before you were insuring a $500,000 house. Now that you're insuring a $1 million house, your insurance is more expensive. And so if you pass the house down and your kids can't afford the property taxes and the insurance on $1 million house, well, now your kids have to sell the house because they cannot afford the property taxes and the insurance. And let's talk about your mortgage, because a lot of people think that their mortgage payment is an investment, but let's actually dig a little bit deeper. This is the amortization schedule of a $400,000 mortgage at 7% a year, and what you'll see is that in year one, $27,000, almost 28 grand of your mortgage payments are going directly in interest into your banker's pocket, while only $4,000 is going as principal to actually pay down the value of your house. And it isn't all the way until year 21 where the majority of your payment is going to principal as opposed to interest. So your banker is smart. They're front-loading your mortgage. So when you pay $3,000 a month on your mortgage payment, it's not half going to principal, half going to interest. In the beginning part of your mortgage, or for the first half, or more than half of your mortgage, more than half, the majority of your payment is going to your banker's pocket with interest, and then whatever's left is going to actually pay down the principal. And then if you refinance your mortgage in the first 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, even 20 years, well, you start the process all over again, which means, again, that money is going to interest and interest and interest, and the remainder is going to principal. Now hear me one last time. I'm not saying it's bad to buy a house. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a house. I'm saying you should not buy a house you can't afford. Think of a house like a liability. Think of it like an expense. Buy what you can afford. That way you don't sacrifice your investments because of your house. We can also take a look at the second largest purchase for the majority of Americans, which is your car. The average new car payment in America today is almost $750 a month. And that does not include your premium gas, because now you have a luxury car. That doesn't include your more expensive insurance. And that does not include your more expensive maintenance, because when you drive a luxury car, the oil changes are also more expensive. I like nice cars. I don't want you to drive a beat up car for no reason. I want you to drive a car that you can afford. And when I say a car that you can afford, that means a car that you can buy with cash, because you don't want to be financing a car, because that would be a triple whammy. When you finance a car, you are, number one, paying interest on, number two, a depreciating liability, because your car is not going to go up in value, it's going to drop in value. As soon as you put the keys in the ignition on a brand new car, it's going to lose 18% of its value as soon as you turn the car on. And number three, a car has a limited lifespan. Your car is not going to last forever, and so when you finance the car, well, you're losing money. It's a guaranteed loss. So I'd rather you buy something that you can afford with cash. And if you still don't believe me, let me just show you the value of this. You don't want to blow money on your car payments, so you don't buy a new car. Instead, you go out and finance a used car, and now your payments are only $550 a month. Well, if you took that $550 a month and you buy this new car, after 30 years, this car is going to be worth $0 because that car is going to have a limited lifespan and you're going to need a new car and you have to get new car payments. So you're going to be making car payments and you might say, well, Jaspreet, eventually I pay off the car. Well, as soon as you pay off the car, what happens? People feel weird without a car payment, so you have to trade it in and get a new car. So you end up paying more than $550 in 7 years once you trade it in for a new car because cars get more expensive. But if instead of having $0 after 30 years, you bought a car that you could afford, what does that mean? You took the $8,000 down payment and you bought a $8,000 car. Now, sure, you don't have as nice of that BMW that you had before, but now you have a nice, good working condition Toyota Corolla, maybe a Toyota Camry that works. It has cheaper insurance, it has cheaper gas, and it's probably not too bad of maintenance because it's a Toyota, but now you get to keep that $550 a month. And now, if you take that $550 a month that you were giving to BMW, that you were giving to Mercedes, and now you invest that money into your wealth instead, you take that $550 a month, and now let's assume that you can only get the returns of the market. You don't try to do anything crazy. You get the average 10% return a year, and you do this for 30 years. Well, here you have nothing. After 30 years here, you're going to have $1 million. Which one do you want? You want the $1 million or do you want nothing? Well, once you have the $1 million, guess what? You can take that $1 million, go to the BMW store, go to the Mercedes store, and buy whatever car you want with cash and not have to worry about the price. So you decide which one's more better for you. When it comes to cutting the crap, I have a very simple rule, which is if it does not put money in your pocket, you do not finance it, period. The only exception to this is the house that you live in. So your car, your cell phone, your vacations, your furniture, do not finance it. Buy it with cash. If you can't buy it with cash, don't buy it. And yes, this also includes 0% APR. And the reason why I say that is because, well, a lot of people have this love for 0% APR because they say, why would I pay $1,000 for an iPhone when I could just pay $50 a month with 0% APR? I can invest the difference. Well, why do you think any company would lend you money at 0% APR? If you walked into any bank and asked for a $1,000 loan at 0% interest, would they give that to you? No. So how can a company afford to give you money at 0% APR? And the reason why is because they're actually making a lot of money by lending you money at 0% interest. Why? Because number one, they know that it's much easier to make a purchase when it's 0% APR because you don't have the full pain of $1,000 leaving your pocket today. It's just $50. And then $50 next month, and $50 next month. So it's a lot easier to make bigger purchases when you don't have that pain of money leaving your account. Number two, they know that when you make that purchase, well, they can sell you more stuff because they don't have the pain of that money leaving your account. Because now when you buy that phone, you don't have $1,000 leave your account, you're much more likely to buy the case and the AirPods and the other accessories to go along with it, which you wouldn't have been able to afford in the first place, but now you don't have $1,000 leaving your account. It's just small little payments. And number three, they know that many people are not going to actually make the payments. And so when you don't finish up the payments in time, well, now they're going to slap on 20, 25, 30, 35% interest sometimes. And now they're making even more money on that interest because you didn't pay it off in time. So no, do not use 0% APR. Buy what you want, buy what you can afford with cash. Step 4, know your wealth goal. So now you're out of the financial danger zone. You have a system for your money. You know how much money to save, invest, and spend. And now you have an idea of how to spend your money so you don't just blow it on stupid things. Now we're talking about how do you actually invest your money and build your wealth. And there's two ways that you can get paid as an investor. You can watch the value of investment go up, called growth, or you can get paid with cash flow. Cash flow is money being deposited into your bank account every month, every 3 months, or every year because you own the right investments. And you have to find what's right for you. There are pros with growth. The pros with growth are if you see growth in your investments, you don't pay taxes until you sell. But the risk with that is, well, if you invest your money into a stock and it goes up to $200 a share, you don't actually make money until you sell. So if you decide to sell it the next day and the value falls to $100, well, now you lost that growth that you had. When it comes to cash flow, pros and cons here. The pro is you get that money in your pocket today, but the con is that you have to pay taxes on that money because as soon as you get the money deposited into your account, it's a taxable income. Con number 2 is if an investment is giving their money away, that investment can't grow as fast. Because let's just say hypothetically you invested your money into the McDonald's stock. Well, McDonald's makes billions of dollars a year in profits. There's 3 things they can do with that profit. They can save that money for an emergency. They can reinvest that money back into the company by opening new stores, making better burgers, or they can give that money away in the form of cash flow. It's called a dividend in the stock market, which is something that they're doing at the time we're recording this video. But if they're giving their money away, that's money that they're not using to make better burgers or open more stores. So if a company is giving away cash flow, then they can't grow as fast. So you have to decide what's right for you. For me, personally, my first goal, and something that I still like, is cash flow, because I like the idea of not having to sell my investments. I like the idea of stacking the cash flow slowly and then working to just grow the value of the cash flow year after year after year. That way I can just keep accumulating more assets and then live off the cash flow. But it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of sacrifice, and the first few years of doing this type of cash flow investing is extremely painful because you're going to be working really hard and putting a lot of money in and getting no cash flow out. But if you do this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you'll start to see a steady stream of brand new income from your cash flow. But you have to be willing to put in the work for years to be able to see those types of returns, and a lot of people just don't have that in them. Once you understand your goal and how you want to get paid as an investor, now we can actually talk about how do you invest your money with steps 5 and 6. So let me start with step number 5, investing your money with a proper retirement account. The most common government-sponsored retirement accounts are 401ks and IRAs, and there are other variations of 401ks like 403bs, which are for different professions, but they're all essentially the same thing. So with a 401k, what this is it is an employer-sponsored account where your company will allow you to invest your money into an account, and then the money can grow tax-free until you pull the money out. An IRA is a way that you can do essentially the same thing, but you're going to do it outside of your company. But the thing you should be aware of is that 401ks and IRAs have limitations on where you can invest your money and when you can pull your money out. The general rule with the 401k or IRA is you have to let your money sit there until you are at least 59 and a half years old. Otherwise, you are going to be subject to a 10% penalty. And when it comes to where you invest your money, these rules might be changing because President Trump recently signed an executive order as to where you can invest your money in a 401k. But generally, the way it works is you're going to have to invest your money into funds, mutual funds, sometimes index funds through a 401k or IRA, which are giving you exposure to the stock market, which is great, but you do generally just have some limitations. And you should also understand the difference between a traditional versus a Roth 401k and an IRA, because they work the same way. A traditional account is you make money, you don't pay taxes, and then it goes directly into your 401k or IRA. So let's assume that you want to invest $2,000. This $2,000 would go tax-free into your 401k or IRA. It would then grow in this 401k or IRA until you're 65, 67, 70 years old, however old you want to be. And then you pull the money out, and that's when you're going to pay taxes. So let's assume that your $2,000 grew to $20,000. When you pull that $20,000 out, now you're going to pay taxes. And the amount of taxes you're going to pay are going to depend on what your income is going to be when you're older, and number 2, what the tax rates are. We don't know what tax rates are going to be in 10 years, let alone 40 years. So there's a big question mark as to what this tax is going to be. And if you plan on having no income when you're older, well, that could mean that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, but we don't know what the tax rate is going to be. I don't like that idea because I want to grow my income every single year, and I don't like the idea of having no income because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor. I want to see my income grow in the future. And so this is where Roths can also come in play. The way a Roth works is you're going to make money, then you're going to pay taxes first. After you pay taxes, that's the money that's going to go into this account. It's going to be less than here because this is after tax dollars. So maybe this is only $1,500. And now the money is going to grow and compound in this account. And then when it comes time for you to retire, you can pull this money out. Maybe now this is going to be $15,000, which, yes, it's less than the $20,000, but you don't have to worry about taxes when you pull the money out because you paid taxes in the beginning. Now, the last thing that I want to say about these government-sponsored retirement accounts like a 401k or IRA is that they work for the right person. For me personally, I don't like 401ks and IRAs because they don't fit my personal investing portfolio, and I know that I can get better tax breaks outside of a 401k and IRA through different investment vehicles, which are also out there, which I'm going to discuss next. But this is where you want to understand what the options are. This is a great place to start. It's very accessible, and if you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, well, you can also see what the other investment options are. So this brings me to number 6, your own private investment options. There are many ways to invest your money. Some people will tell you that you have to invest in stocks to become wealthy. Other people will tell you have to invest in real estate to become wealthy. Other people will tell you you have to start a business to become wealthy. The reality is it doesn't really matter. You just have to find what's right for you. I mean, Warren Buffett became extremely wealthy in the stock market. Donald Trump became extremely wealthy in the real estate market. And you have a lot of entrepreneurs that have built businesses and become extremely wealthy without ever touching stocks or real estate. So let's talk about some of the different investment options that you have. You can invest your money in stocks. You can invest your money in real estate. You can invest your money in crypto. You can invest your money into commodities like physical gold. You can invest your money into buying a business. You can invest your money by lending it out and generating interest. Or you can invest your money in startups. Now, the two asset classes that have been proven through the test of time are stocks and real estate. Now, yes, gold is great, but I don't like to consider gold as an investment. I look at that more as a hedge against inflation. Building a business is great, but I don't really look at that as an investment because this is going to require more time, more effort, more work. Lending is great, but you don't really see a proven return on the value of your investment. You'll get interest, but the principal value doesn't grow. You're just generating interest. So yeah, that is a great option. And banks have built huge businesses by lending their money out and generating interest. And investing in startups is also great, but it's more work, more time, more risk. And a lot of startups will fail. Again, this is great, especially for people that have more wealth. But if you're just starting off, this is much more speculative, more work, more risky. These two are kind of the more safe, proven, simpler ways to get started. Now, when it comes to investing your money in stocks and real estate, the thing that I want you to understand is there are also many ways that you can invest your money into these assets. You could go out and invest actively into the stock market or real estate, meaning you can look for individual stocks to purchase. You can look for rental properties to buy yourself. And these can give you some of the best tax breaks as well, because when you invest in real estate as a licensed attorney who's not your attorney, I can tell you that real estate investors get some of the biggest and best tax breaks that our tax code has to offer. But it takes more work, more time, more money, more effort, more headache, which is great for some people, not for everybody else. There are passive ways that you can get exposure to stocks and real estate as well. For example, in the stock market, if you don't want to do the research on individual stocks, which I think most people shouldn't, you can just invest in a fund that'll give you exposure to the broad stock market. For example, you can invest in the S&P 500. That's a group of the 500 largest companies in the stock market. Now, you don't have to do any work. You just invest in a fund that's giving you exposure to the S&P 500. For example, if you invested in SPY, SPY, this is an ETF that you can purchase on pretty much any brokerage. Now, I can't tell you what to invest in. I'm just a random guy on YouTube. I'm not a financial advisor. Investing has risks. You're never guaranteed to make money when you invest. In fact, you will lose money at some point. So make sure you always do your own due diligence and never blindly trust a random guy on YouTube. But when you invest in this, you're getting exposure to the 500 largest companies in the stock market. So if Tesla were to go bankrupt, well, it will get kicked out of the S&P 500 and replaced by another stock, and you don't have to do anything. So this is a passive way to invest in stocks. There are passive ways to invest in real estate as well. There are funds on the internet that will give you exposure to real estate. You don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to deal with the city. You don't have to deal with anything. You just invest your money and then let the developer of that property deal with the work, and then you get paid your distributions out of it. But you have to know how you want to invest your money. Find what's right for you. Don't just blindly follow a random person on YouTube. I'll tell you what I do, but I don't recommend what I do to anybody else. I invest my money in 5 places. Number 1 is my own business, Briefs Media. Number 2 is in real estate. Number 3 is in the stock market. Number 4 is what I call speculative. This is the startups that I invest in. This is the cryptocurrencies that I invest in. And number 5 is physical gold. This is from largest to smallest. Physical gold makes up about 2% of my portfolio, maybe even a little bit less now. Speculative makes up less than 20% of my portfolio. My largest investment is my business. And if we exclude that, below that is real estate. And when I invest in real estate, I'm investing for cash flow. When I'm investing in stocks, the bulk of my stock market investments are also for cash flow. So you have to know that goal. Is it appreciation? Is it cash flow? Then figure out how you're going to invest your money, whether it's into the government-sponsored retirement accounts. If yes, you can start with that. Then if it's going to be some of these private accounts that are not through the government accounts, great, but make sure what you're investing in can also meet your goal, whether it's growth or cash flow, and then you can learn how to do it. Again, I put together a free investing masterclass for those of you that want to learn more about how do you actually invest in stocks. You can watch the masterclass for free. I have the link for you down in the description. So now we've established that investing is a way that you can become wealthy. That's how you can get to your first $1 million and beyond, and that's why this is so important to put money aside to invest. And we established different ways that you can invest your money. How do we do that? Well, you can invest your money through government-sponsored accounts or through your own private accounts. But you need to know your goals. Is it going to be more cash flow or growth? We talked about different ways you can invest your money into a 401k or IRA, and then we talked about many of the private ways that you can invest your money from stocks and real estate and others as well. But now let's talk about how do you actually amplify this, because we've talked about how you build the systems and how do you put it to work, but if you want to get there faster, you want to build more wealth sooner, you want to have more wealth, what do you need to do? Well, yes, you can invest your money better, which is what we've been kind of talking about, but now let's talk about how you can do that by earning more money. Because if you can make more money, well, now you can have more fuel going into this fire. And the thing that I want you to think about here is you are in control of how much money you earn. So let's think about it this way. If you make $50,000 a year and you are investing, let's call it 15%, well, that means you're investing about $7,500 a year out of this pie that you're making, this $50,000. And now you start to like this whole investing game. And now you say, I want to invest more money, I want to build more wealth. How can you invest more money? Well, instead of investing $7,500 a year, maybe you work to invest $8,000 a year, maybe $10,000 a year. You're squeezing more pennies out of this pie. Yes, you're putting more money aside to invest, which is great. But what if now you did something a little bit different? We thought out of the box. And now you go from earning $50,000 a year to $500,000 a year. Well, if you follow that same percentage as before, if you were investing $7,500 here, well, now you can invest $75,000 here. You're following the same ratio as before. The only difference is you have a lot more dollars that you can invest. And now if you can invest 75 grand a year, you can imagine that you're going to be able to build a whole lot more wealth. Now I know what you're going to say. Well, Jaspreet, how in the world is my boss going to give me a 10x raise? That's not going to be possible. But I understand that. And this is where I want you to think a little bit differently. I want you to think about what's possible. Because if you set a goal to 10x your income, what are you going to do? Well, maybe you're going to start consuming different content on the internet. Maybe you're going to start watching videos on how you can earn more money. Maybe you're going to start watching classes on how you can build a business. Maybe you start reading books on how you get a career change. Maybe you actually take a certificate to earn more money. And you have to know what's right for you. You don't have to go out and start a business, okay? There's a lot of people on the internet that say you need to start a business to build wealth. That's not how it works. There are many ways to build wealth, and you have to know what's right for you. But if you set bigger goals, you're going to do different things. So for those of you that say, I don't want to start a business, that's not for me, fine. But you got to figure out how you can earn more money. Is it going to be at your own job? Can you get a raise? Can you show your boss that you are more valuable? Can you produce more value at your job and be the #1 producer at your company to make more money? If not, can you find a different company that's going to pay you more? Can you get a career change? Can you get a certificate? Can you go back to school? Can you find a way to earn more money? If it's not a job, well, now you can think about how you can build a business. And I'll give you a few business ideas. Again, think outside of the box. That's what's going to allow you to earn more money. But I love entrepreneurship because I didn't have a lot of support when I was getting started with my business ideas. And, well, I just think it's fun to start businesses. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is growing extremely fast. So here are a few business ideas that you can incorporate with AI to potentially make an extra $10,000 a month. Number 1, start an AI consulting company. Show businesses that are making money how they can save time through artificial intelligence and niche down. For example, start a firm that specializes in helping chiropractic offices save 2 hours a week using artificial intelligence. They'll probably be willing to pay you $1,000 to $2,000 a month if you can save them 8 hours of time a month on the work that they're doing. Maybe it's through emails, maybe it's through whatever data entry that they're doing. Figure that out, sell it as a service to them. Number 2, help real estate agents build virtual tours of their properties with staging and charge them money to do that. Real estate agents want to show their properties off. And a lot of agents are still only taking pictures off of their cell phones and then posting that on the internet. Well, it can be very valuable to have a virtual tour of a property so people can see if they like it sooner rather than later, and people can show off their properties. And if you can stage that property, that means the real estate agent can save money on buying furniture rentals. To stage the property in real life, you can just stage it virtually, and artificial intelligence can help you do that. So if you can learn how to do it, you can sell that as a service to real estate agents. Number 3, help law firms understand how to use AI to review contracts and draft contracts and build a legal brain for their own AI. As a licensed attorney, I can tell you that AI is getting pretty smart. I mean, even ChatGPT is getting very smart and they're understanding a lot of legal concepts. You can help a law firm build their own AI to build their own legal framework, and then you can be on monthly retainer to help with support with the AI, and then you can show the law firm how to review documents with the AI and how to create frameworks for documents out of the AI, which could save the law firm a lot of money, and it can make you some money along the way. Number 4, show YouTubers how they can analyze their YouTube video success with artificial intelligence. I'm telling you this from experience. If you can take a Google sheet and now you can start analyzing all the YouTube videos, put all that information onto a YouTube video, you can show it to AI, and then AI can then analyze your stuff for you, and that could be a business model. You can help YouTubers analyze their content, see which content does better. That way you can help them create better content that is going to generate them more views and make them more ad dollars. And idea number 5 is you can help entrepreneurs who are still in the early stage of their business manage their cash flow, analyze their cash flow, and track their cash flow using artificial intelligence for a fraction of the price of hiring a chief financial officer. Every startup business owner is going to be managing a lot of cash. I mean, they're going to manage a lot of cash movement from their bank account, from their credit card statements, from their debit cards, and all these other transactions that are happening. Well, if you can use artificial intelligence to organize and track all their finances, they could save hours of time every single month. And the one thing the entrepreneurs don't have is time. So if you can buy back 5 or 10 hours of their time for $1,000 a month, well, now you can organize and track all their finances and they don't have to worry about paying a chief financial officer, at least in the early stage of their business. But the key here is as you're making more money, you just don't go out and start buying Rolexes and traveling to Cancun. What you're gonna do is follow the system. You're going to invest and save your money first and spend whatever's left. That way now you keep working to amplify your investments. That way you can get to that $1 million sooner rather than later and maybe get to 2 million, 3 million, or maybe beyond. Step number 8 is think about your taxes. Seriously, as a licensed attorney who spent a lot of time studying the tax law, who keeps a copy of the federal income tax code in his office, take a look at this. This is more than 2,000 pages long and it's about 8-point font. There are a lot of rules in the tax code, and what these rules are telling you is different ways that you can pay potentially less money in taxes. And the thing you want to understand is that the tax code rewards you when you are an investor, when you are a business owner, and if you are just a W-2 employee, you're gonna pay the highest tax rates. Take a look. Let's have some fun, let's play with some big numbers. Let's assume that you can make $1 million a year because you are a very skilled surgeon. You're gonna go to work every single day for a whole year to generate $1 million because you are a beautiful doctor, and by beautiful I mean you're very good with your hands as a doctor, and now you make this $1 million, but you got to pay taxes. The top federal tax rate at the time when we recorded this video is 37%, and then when you factor in state taxes and payroll taxes and everything else, you're going to be paying upwards of 50% of this money in taxes, which means you're going to be left with about half of the $1 million. But now let's flip the script a little bit. Let's assume that you made this money from your stock market investments instead. When you make your money from your stock market investments, it is a completely different tax bracket. Why? Because that's what the tax code says. If you make your money from your investments that you own for longer than a year, it's called long-term capital gains, and the top tax rate on your long-term capital gains is not 37%, it's 20%. Not to mention that when you make your money from your investments, you don't have to pay payroll taxes either. And payroll taxes, don't forget, are 6.2% by you and another 6.2% by your employer. So in essence, it's closer to 12, 13% for your payroll taxes. You don't have to pay that here when you invest your money in the stock market. Why? Because you don't make this money from your payroll, you're making this money from your investment. But it gets even more interesting. If you invested this money into real estate, well, real estate, like I told you a little bit earlier, has some of the biggest tax breaks that our tax code has to offer, which means there are real estate investors that are making $1 million a year that are paying effectively 0% in taxes. Why? Because the tax code says that you can get a lot of different deductions as a real estate investor. Now, I'm not going to get into all of those deductions and how it all works here, but understanding that it is possible. Why am I saying this? Because taxes can be extremely expensive, and as you start to build more wealth, you're going to want to start to think about taxes. And the best piece of advice that I can give you is get yourself a good tax advisor. It's going to cost more money, but get yourself a good tax advisor. It is going to pay for itself many times over. And I'm telling you this from experience because my old tax advisor was a cheap one. And I thought I was being financially smart by not paying him as much because, well, that means I get to keep more money in my pocket. Well, the problem with that is, number one, every time he did something wrong, I had to pay a penalty or a late fee or a fine. And number two, I was way overpaying in taxes. And this ended up costing me a lot of money. And that's when I went out and found a new tax advisor who was charging me more than 10 times more than my old accountant. True story. But it's ending up saving me more money in the long run because now we're able to find more tax deductions legally because that's what he specializes in. So what you want to do as you start building more wealth is find yourself a good advisor, be willing to pay money as you start to build more wealth because you don't want to go with the cheapest person because sometimes the most expensive thing that you can do is be cheap. Step number 9 is think about your wealth planning. As you build more wealth, people are going to want a piece of what you have made. And this is where you want to make sure that you can protect your wealth and your family's wealth in the way that you want. So get yourself an estate planning attorney. This is so important. You don't have to go out and create a will. You don't have to create a trust, but you need to create something, and what you create is going to be specific to you. And there's a lot of online services out there that you can create a will or a trust for a couple $100, but if you really want to do it right, get an attorney that can understand what your goals are, what your wants are, what your wealth is, where your income's coming from. That way they can actually protect it the right way. I don't need to go on and on and on about this, but just understand that there are so many ways to protect your assets, and the last thing that you want is for you to pass away and then the government decides where your money is going to go, or your family is going to fight over where your money is going to go. You can protect all of that by thinking about wealth planning while you're here and healthy, because you can always change your estate plans later on. And finally, last but not least, is number 10, have the right mindset to become wealthy. The reason why I call this channel The Minority Mindset isn't because it has anything to do with someone's race or skin color or anything like that. It's because all success starts with your mindset. And if you keep doing what the majority of people do, you're going to end up like the majority of people, which unfortunately, at the time I recorded this video, the majority of people are broke, they're unhappy, they're unhealthy, and they have no purpose in life. And this is where you got to start doing things a little bit differently and be comfortable with that and understand that you can become wealthy. Now, it's easy for me to say that, but it takes a lot of work. Maybe you need to invest in your personal development. Maybe you need to read some self-help books. Maybe you need to listen to some personal development podcasts. Do what you got to do, but you got to get into a positive frame of mind instead of seeing all the negativity in the world, because guess what? There's a lot of crap in the world. There's shootings that's happened. There's wars. There's a lot of bad things that happen. But at the other side, there's also a lot of beauty in the world. I mean, there's nature, there's love, there's success, there's fun, there's happiness, there's fulfillment. And so you got to decide what it is that you want to focus on. And I would rather focus my energy here. I get it. There's a lot of bad things in the world. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But when you're constantly focused on the negative, what do you think is going to happen in your life? Are you going to see a lot of happiness and success, or are you going to see a lot of negativity? And you know that saying, you are what you eat, well, you are what you consume. And if all you consume is negativity, well, you're going to become a whole ball of negativity as well. But if you start consuming positivity and you start to see positivity, you're going to start becoming the positivity, and then you're going to start seeing the positivity with your success as well. And if I could give myself one piece of advice 10 years ago, it would be to invest money in yourself. I've invested a lot of time, and I've always been very cautious with how I spend money. I've been very cautious in buying books and courses and all these other things because I was very careful. I didn't want to lose that money. But if it can help you, help your mindset, help your success, I have found that when I'm willing to invest money, because I know that I'm willing to put in the work. If you're not going to put in the work, don't spend your money. If you're willing to put in the work and actually consume the content and apply it, it can result in a lot more success than what you put in. And so if you are willing to put in the work, go out and read books. Yes, watch YouTube videos, listen to the podcast, do the free stuff, 100%. But as you start to make more money, invest in yourself. Go out and read more books. Go out and take more classes, watch more seminars, watch more webinars, and take more programs that can help you get to where you want to go. But don't fall for the 6 steps to 6 figures, following the secret system. Do something that's actually going to help you. If you are a stock market investor, invest in research to be a better stock market investor. Invest in tools to be a better stock market investor. If you're a real estate investor, invest in help or education to be a better real estate investor. Invest in tools to help you be a better real estate investor. Invest in the better teams. Invest in better people. Find ways to invest money into yourself. That way you can get a better return out. And there's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be a lot of haters, people that don't doubt you. It's a part of the process. Forget it. Life is short. No one's going to make it out of this life alive anyway, so might as well have a lot of fun and see the success that you want, or at least shoot for it, because what's the worst that can happen? So I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. If you enjoyed this video, the best thank you is to share this video with a friend, a family member, a colleague, or a fellow investor. And again, if you're an investor and you want to watch my free investing masterclass, I have that link for you down in the description as well. Now, I know there's a lot of content on the internet about creating passive income, but 98% of what you see is garbage. If you want to have enough income coming from your investments to fund your lifestyle, it is not going to be easy, and it's not risk-free. Investing has risks, but it is possible. So now, if you're still sticking with me, let me show you how you can actually do it.